Welcome to the Fright Lab. I'm Lucas Yoakum. Today is day 5 of spooky season 2025. That means it's October 5th, 2025 in normal person speak. And we're doing something, a different movie tonight, something that's a little different than what we've done for the last 4 nights. Specifically, we are covering the 1971 kind of, chiller? I don't want to say thriller, chiller. Let's Scare Jessica to Death. This movie is very, very different than just about any movie that I've talked about, either in full-length episodes of the Fright Lab or in the films that we've been talking about for the last couple of nights. Let's Scare Jessica to Death is, I want to say it's a sleepy film. Not dreamlike, but that it feels like you're half awake while you're watching it, or you've been hit with some narcotic drug that is slowing you down. It has this very strong, jarring kind of nightmarish feel, but it moves at this kind of snail's pace. It's right about 2 hours, which not a problem for me. I like longer movies, but it is this sort of slow burn, and the plot is fairly straightforward. I guess as straightforward as you can get a film like this. Let's Scare Jessica to Death centers around a woman who surprisingly is named Jessica. And Jessica just recently was released from a mental hospital in New York for some unspecified condition, some unspecified incident led her there for a while. So she, her boyfriend, and a friend of theirs decide to move upstate for a little while to start an apple orchard, sell some antiques. For a 1971 movie, it's kind of hippie-ish, I guess. Needless to say, they get to their new home and things immediately start going awry, specifically when they have a visitor who may or may not be who she seems. So, about the film kind of directly, Zora Lampert is the star, Jessica, and she really commits to the role, and I think she does a pretty good job. The way she plays the role, in my opinion, and I'm not a psychologist, so, make of this what you will, but she portrays her character as having maybe schizophrenia or having like a schizophreniform disorder where she swings wildly, her moods are very erratic, and maybe she's seeing things, maybe she's not. The movie plays with that idea quite a bit and does so pretty well. I have to give a lot of credit to Zora Lampert for taking some risks with this role and doing, I think, a mostly pretty commendable job. I think she tries to portray Jessica with quite a bit of, what's the word I'm looking for here? With quite a bit of sensitivity and quite a bit of kindness, and I think she gets it. I'm not sure that the rest of the film gets it. How do you talk about mental illness in a horror film that doesn't end up sounding exploitative? It can be done, I think, but it takes a very special cast and crew to make that work. Her delusional condition is front and center really throughout the entire film. And then to me, it didn't feel exploitative, but it is a very nakedly personal and uncomfortable watch, I think. It is not a feel-good, walk out of the theater smiling kind of flick. And if you're not wanting that for your spooky season watch, if you're doing the big challenge, it might be a lot to ask of someone because it is not a fun film. But I will say it is also an incredibly necessary film. You can see how movies, how it's very much in the vein of something like, say, Rosemary's Baby or later on into something like the Amityville Horror. They're kind of contemporaneous in that way. And you can see a lot of the same DNA split between those films. For as much as I enjoyed the movie and thought that it was a good portrayal of a number of things, it does have some downsides. I think outside of Zora Lampert's performance, most of the cast, which is relatively small, they're uneven. They strike me as maybe actors at the beginning of their career or something. I didn't have a lot of time to dig into this one, and I got to level with you guys. I'm not sure I'm going to beyond this. It's, again, it is worth seeing if you're into the history of horror, but outside of that, there's not a lot to necessarily recommend. The movie has a very ambiguous feeling. There's only a couple of points where you can really pointedly say, I think this is what's happening. And while that's not in and of itself a a mood killer as far as a horror movie is concerned. It's not necessarily a bad thing. I think it could end up being very alienating for a lot of people. So, Let's Scare Jessica to Death. Is this the must-add, must-watch, must-see movie of October 2025? No, not by a long shot. However, if you like psychological tinged horror or stuff where maybe it's supernatural, maybe it's paranormal, or maybe it's just all in someone's head, I think that's a fun route to take with a lot of horror films, and this one does it really, really well. I have to wonder if in a few years we're going to be able to look at the recent crop of movies from the last 15 years and say, oh, there's a lot of Let's Scare Jessica to Death in this batch of films that is maybe not so apparent now. But I want to leave it to you, my beloved audience, siblings, one and all. What do you think of Let's Scare Jessica to Death? Is this going to find its way onto your list for the rest of the month? Or are you going to maybe take your dear friend Lucas's advice and say, I don't know that this one's for me? You can let us know what you're planning on doing with this information by reaching out to us at thefrightlabpodcast@gmail.com. We can also be found on just about every social media platform. Just look for The Fright Lab. As always, The Fright Lab is written and researched by me, Lucas Yoakum, and is produced and engineered and co-hosted by the one and only Joseph Wren. We appreciate each and every one of you, and we will talk to you all again very, very soon. And hey, enjoy your spooky season.